today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about how to end a cycle of bullying.
And think about how many times have you told your partner what was wrong with them? Maybe you were being a rescuer in a way that was bullying. Sometimes the roles intermingle. But when a couple lives in this triangle, there's no winning. If one person wins, the other person loses. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. And today we're talking about ending the bullying cycle. This is for anyone who feels like they are a consistent victim in their marriage, or someone who feels that they're always winning even. Maybe you're going to recognize yourself as the bully in this, right? The fact of the matter is that a bullying dynamic in a marriage usually isn't one-sided. Aha! It may feel one-sided. You may think it's one-sided, but it usually isn't. Probably the best way to explain that statement, that a bullying dynamic isn't one-sided, is to educate you on something called the victim triangle, which we've talked about in Rich in Relationship before. The victim triangle has 3 points on it. There is the victim, there is the bully, and there is the rescuer. And so for me, as someone who works with couples, it's very tempting to be the rescuer. The problem is if I'm the rescuer, and I really like rescuing people, that means that the dynamic of victimization has to be present. If a couple ends the dynamic of victimization, I no longer get to be the rescuer. I've rescued them and it's over. And by the way, this is a role that a lot of couples counselors and therapists find themselves inadvertently slipping into. When therapy goes on, couples therapy or couples counseling goes on for months or years, it's usually because the professional has somehow slipped into the role of rescuer. They're invested in rescuer. They're constantly rescuing. They're constantly helping someone heal some side of themselves. But the fact is that when you're an expert, you don't need to be a rescuer. When you're an expert, you recognize that dynamic, you call it out, and if two people are really committed to growing, they change the dynamic. If they have some old emotional baggage or some limiting beliefs, then you help them to release it, and it changes the dynamic. When you're an expert, you can do this quickly and efficiently. But unfortunately, many therapists and many counselors are not experts. They're people who just maybe have taken a course or two, or maybe they've taken a class and they practice in many fields. But as an expert, I'm here to tell you that the victim triangle is easy to end. But first, let's understand it, how it works. In a typical fight, two people will act out all 3 parts of the victim triangle. Yeah, you don't believe that because you're pretty convinced that you're the victim, right? In the fight, when people are having the fight that doesn't end, both people usually are taking on the role of, you hurt me, I'm afraid, I'm sad, and I'm angry. And because I'm angry, I'm going to win and you're going to lose. I'm going to squish you because you hurt me, because I'm afraid of you, because you made me sad. I'm going to squish you. You made me angry. I'm going to squish you. And so in that moment, we start from, you hurt me, you made me sad, you're making me afraid, which is our serious victim emotions. And we go to, I'm going to get you, which is the oppressor. I'm going to get you is the emotion of the oppressor. And maybe in the course of the argument, we get a little rational. And we say, that's really interesting, but that point's completely wrong. You know what would be in your best interest is if you would recognize that you have this, and this going on. If you could take care of that, then this fight wouldn't happen. Then you're stepping into the rescuer role. And think about how many times have you told your partner what was wrong with them? You were being a rescuer. Maybe you were being a rescuer in a way that was bullying. Sometimes the roles intermingle. But when a couple lives in this triangle, there's no winning. If one person wins, the other person loses. Now, there are a lot of ways that this triangle will manifest. It might manifest just as a discussion. It might manifest as seriously emotional violence. Scary. In fact, typically, because men are usually bigger and women are usually smaller, unconsciously, the woman might have a more of a fear response to that fight than the man. The man might have a fear response to it, but he knows that if she hits him, he's probably still going to be standing. She knows that if he hits her, she's going to bleed if the man's bigger and the woman's smaller. In the event that that's not true, it might be a different reaction. Another response might be something close to physical violence. I've had clients who came to me and said, well, I didn't hit her. I might have put my hands on her and shaken her. Well, I punched a wall near her, but I didn't hit her. I'm not one of those guys. But I want you to know that is, if you're receiving that or you're delivering that, that is the next level up. That's emotional violence bordering on a physical threat. It might show up as actual physical violence, domestic violence. Maybe one or both of you are hitting each other. Here's some other ways that might be a little more insidious. It might show up as gaslighting and denial. Gaslighting is when I have one experience and you tell me my experience isn't valid. I say, you know what? When you punched the wall by my head, that was really scary for me. And you say, oh, I didn't punch the wall by your head. It didn't happen that way. And you go, what? No, you're right. You're not remembering that right. Yeah, no, when I punched the wall, you were actually over there. But I could see how it might have felt close to you. That's mild gaslighting. Intense gaslighting might be where you fix the wall. And then a month later you say, oh, never hit the wall. What are you talking about? Completely in your imagination. All right, that's a form, a very insidious form of bullying. So if you've got any of these dynamics going on, and actually there is not a freaking couple on the face of the earth that doesn't have this going on in some way, shape, or form, you've got a bully dynamic or a victim dynamic, a victim triangle going on in your relationship, and it's super unhealthy. And you want to end that crap as soon as possible because it is poison for what? A partnership. Right? In the last episode of Rich Relationship, we talked about what's a partnership. A partnership is two people who have a shared vision, who have an investment in being in the other person being the best person they could possibly be, right? When you're my partner, I'm on your side. When you're my partner, I'm invested in your personal success. When you're my partner, I will sacrifice for your personal success with the understanding that you might do the same for me in the future. It's not going to be, if I'm forever sacrificing for your success, that might be a little victimy. It might be a little martyry. That's a whole nother energy. It's related to that victim triangle. Oh, look at all the things I've done for you, But in a true partnership, we take turns. In a true partnership, it's not 50-50. It's 100-0 or 100-0. We're 100% responsible for ourselves. We give 100%. And sometimes when the other person's down, we carry them because we know that when we're down, they will carry us. And sometimes people are down for a long time. But if you're all in, if you're playing all in, you carry them until they're strong again and you nurture them until they're strong again. And you might be tempted after you've carried your partner to say, I carried you all that way. What are you going to do for me? If you express it that way, guess what? You're kind of being an emotional bully. If you were to say to them, I love you. I've been carrying you a long time now and I need to rest. Can you help me with this? That's being a partner. I want you to get that when two people get married and create this partnership covenant, they get married so they can heal the bully dynamic. They can heal their inner hurt. They can they want to step out of the victim triangle and go into what some people call the empowerment dynamic. The empowerment dynamic is where you're supporting them. You're challenging them when they need to be challenged. You're coaching them when they need to be coached. You're there for them. You're in their corner. And usually we need to let go of some stuff to get there. The first step is we work around our stuff. The second step is we actually let it go so it's not in the way anymore. So I want you to ask yourself, where are you in your relationship? Where are you in your partnership? What kind of partnership do you have? If on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is we have a perfect partnership. We are 100% down on each other's side. We never step into being victims or bullies or rescuers, versus 0, meaning all we do is bully, victim, and rescue. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Most of the couples that I work with are probably somewhere from 3 to 7 because they're in some kind of pain and they want help with it. Some of them are 7 to 10. But honestly, if you're a 1, 2, or 3, you may need some help stepping out of that marriage. It might be that your partner's just not ready. Might be. I've worked with people where their partner was emotionally violent and physically violent at times. And no matter what they did, that went on. And they needed to step out of that marriage because it wasn't healthy for them to stay in it. And sometimes there's nothing we can do to change the dynamic other than to leave. Their reaction to their partner's emotional violence was different. How they handled it was different. They felt less like a victim because they knew they had a choice. But sometimes if the other person isn't willing to change or grow or step away, we need to step away. So I want to hear from you. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being perfect partnership, 0 being complete mayhem and anarchy. And if you like what you're hearing, like this podcast, follow this podcast, share this podcast on social media, reach out to me if you're looking for tools in moving towards partnership. We have some great tools, some great masterclasses. Some of them are live, some of them are recorded. Free resources for you at richinrelationships.com. And keep coming back because we are going to save 10,000 marriages in 10 years, and yours is one of them.